just like honey, sweet to taste on burning lips. Wanna lie beneath the water, feeling icy fingertips. Soothing nectar to my body, wash the image from my eyes. Dirty streets of hungry people, drink the water, dry your eyes. Let's not look at the reflections, listen to the music made. Drinking water's ease the mind, thoughts of you begin to fade.
The nation is under siege. The nation is under siege.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Divided We Stand. If you're unfamiliar with this channel and you haven't seen us before, or this before, we are on YouTube. We ask that you subscribe to our channel. We are a demonetized channel, therefore we're not going to ask you for any money. We just want to have you to interact with us in our struggle to defeat the fascist Republicans. I'm having problems with somebody in the green room. Also, we have a Facebook group page. You can find us appropriately enough on Facebook. The dogs are restless tonight. Yes, you can find us on Facebook. We ask that you subscribe there. It's a very, very popular page. We have around 1,500 members and growing. We are just a private page, so we ask that you become a part. And we may need to band together, especially so over the next few months, because we don't know what's going to happen. But tonight, we have a special show tonight. That's right. It's our annual show with Dave Price from Arlington, Virginia. He's going to be showing us his latest shoe collection. And I think you're going to find that really, really interesting. So without any further ado, let's go talk to Mr. Shoe.
All right.
Hold on. Why isn't this changing? Oh, shit. Hold on.
Okay. Because you don't know what the hell you're doing. All right, let's look at it. We're not even 2 minutes into the show.
Right.
And already you claim that you're demonized.
Demonized.
That's what you say.
Demonetized.
Yeah, you said we're not. No.
Okay. Well, we got a demon over here. Okay. We're demonized.
That's what we said. And secondly, all of America wants to know this answer to this question: why are you wearing a friggin' bathrobe?
Well, actually, it's just kind of slightly chilly tonight, and I thought I'd get in that comfortable
Lord.
mood. I can imagine Sigmund Freud, sitting there with his pipe and near the fire, and he's wearing his robe. So I thought, well, I don't want to do that too. What the fuck? Where's the comments? All right, we have any comments yet? Oh, geez, yes, we do.
People are stunned. You're sitting there in your bathrobe. You probably don't even have any pants on.
No, I think I have pants on. But
actually,
a robe is comfortable. Who's texting me? Is that Joey? I don't know.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
welcome everybody to the Divided We Stand show, and we hope that you'll participate tonight. Oh shit!
Well,
all right.
Did you just dribble on yourself?
I thought I did, but I didn't. I guess I got saved by the bell there. All right, Dave, what do you have in store for us tonight? Well, that is a lie, by the way. I'm just joking. I don't believe we're going to look at your shoes tonight, but
well, I might get one or two out.
all right.
So let's see. What do we have? Well, it, as always, is an interesting week. I think, again, if someone dropped in now who watched elections previously, they would say, what the hell is going on in this election? We've said that all along, so there's nothing new there. This week, let's see, what do I want to talk about? Well, first of all, I'll talk about a movie. And anybody who's seen it can put it up there, and if not, I highly recommend you see it. Not necessarily for the reason you think I'm going to recommend it. I would urge everybody to see The Apprentice.
And by the way, the Russians who spoke with me today were asking about The Apprentice. In Russia, they will not show The Apprentice until, I don't know why, the end of October. I don't know why.
Oh, really? Well, it could be that. Well, I thought you were going to say after the election.
Well, I'm just wondering. It's like right up to the election, they won't let you see it. They have trailers out, but they won't let Russians watch it yet.
Well, I will say this: if, of course, it's really not. It's not the story of Trump, although he is the central character, but it's really the story of Trump and Roy Cohn and how their friendship develops and falls apart, which of course it had to. But Jeremy Strong was in Succession, which was, for a while was just it. It was the most popular show on HBO for 5 seasons. And one of the things when you see an actor that long who's that strong, you kind of identify him in that role. So he was kind of the son, right, in Succession. But he is so powerful in this film. It took about 30 seconds before I believed he was Roy Cohn. He is fantastic. If somebody can outperform him, and he doesn't win Best Actor, and somebody's better, I really want to see that role too. Again, it's pretty much. I mean, people who love Donald Trump aren't going to see the movie. So basically, your audience is people who don't like Donald Trump, and some of the criticism I think is unfounded. One is it humanizes him. It does a little bit, but not to the effect of the total film.
Right.
You see someone who was kind of abused verbally by his father, and put down. And people were laughing at him at the beginning, and he had this fantasy dream, and Roy Cohn helped him achieve it.
And what was his dream?
His dream was to be a player at every level and to revitalize New York City. And what he meant by revitalize is exactly what he did, put his name everywhere.
Right.
He felt just
revitalize his name.
Yeah. Well, but revitalize New York City as a side, because that was the kind of thing. It's like, when he says, I'm going to bring America back, and I'm the only one who could do it.
Right.
It starts right where it should. Cohn did become the attorney. Trump's father reluctantly didn't really want Cohn, not because he didn't know anything was going on. His father was just horrible. But anyway, Trump goes behind his dad's back, gets Cohn, and Cohn gets them out of the trouble where they wouldn't rent to black families. So it picks up there, and it takes him through New York, the rise of New York, and up to the expansion into Atlantic City, which Cohn advised him against. But Cohn gave him the 3 rules, and I don't want to give away the 3 rules. They're in there.
Never admit.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. And basically, but what's so interesting is if you overlay those 3 rules on everything Donald Trump has ever done in his life, it describes him to a T. He adapted? No, he adopted and put them into practice. I was having a discussion down here with some friends and who are politically oriented, and I made the statement that I believe in my lifetime the most evil person in America who was not a politician was J. Edgar Hoover.
Right.
And somebody said, no, I think you might be wrong. He said, I think it might be Roy Cohn because of Cohn influencing the two most evil politicians we've had.
Right.
Because Richard Nixon was, Richard Nixon was a vile at the end. He did vile acts, but he actually did some good. I mean, I'm not going to defend Nixon, but there were some redeeming factors in his life. But Joe McCarthy, nothing but a drunken.
Yeah, but his ghost remains, obviously. I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah. And then you've got Trump. So I could see that. And then you start thinking about, which made me think in this film, what price you pay when you deny who you are. And what I mean by that is J. Edgar Hoover was gay. There's no question about that. And he denied it the whole time and struck at the heart of homosexuality. Roy Cohn, same way. Even as he's dying of AIDS, I am not gay. There's a scene, and Donald Trump knows.
I didn't know that. Cohn died of AIDS?
Yes, because what happened was his young lover got it, and then he actually, that was one of the really saddest scenes. I mean, in that Cohn asked one favor, really, of Trump the whole time. And he said, yeah, Global, you got him. And what happens is, he asked one favor. His lover had AIDS, and he needed to be isolated. And he asked, would Trump give him a room in one of his places? And then Trump threw him out on the street. And it's like, wow. At that moment, that's kind of the moment in the film, and kind of where Trump just went completely to the dark side. Some people have compared it like to a Star Wars type of thing, where the student becomes the master on the dark side. There's some truth to that. I didn't find, rape is hideous and horrible and heinous. Having said that, many people are upset about the rape scene, which is in the film. Donald rapes Ivana, and she actually put that in the divorce papers, then withdrew it. Whether she had a come to Jesus moment or whether it didn't happen or whether Trump did an NDA or whether Trump paid her, we don't know. But they decided to put that in the film. And it's really true. Now, whether every incident happened, I mean, certainly there's going to be liberties taken with the film. But nobody ever likes Donald Trump. They use him. And I don't mean to feel sorry for him because he uses them. So what you find is the run for office president, but he's fully formed by that point. Now we get an even scarier Donald Trump, which is Donald Trump, which many, many, many experts believe has dementia, not just people. The problem becomes he's been crazy all these years. Right. And so is he crazy? How do you know the difference sometimes? Is he demented? Is he not? It is unbelievable to me that people continue to support him. And then I stop and say, it is not unbelievable. The reason I say it's not unbelievable, there is so much hatred, there's so much anger, there is so much white fear, there's so much ignorance, there's so much economic inequality that is sometimes deserved and sometimes not. There's this nostalgia for the past that never existed, the way it's viewed. And you put all that together, and Trump, the con man, the charlatan that he is, puts together a package, and he says, only I can save you. Only I can save America. So, what do we have? Well, first of all, go see The Apprentice. I don't get any money out of it. But
do you think it will have any effect at all on the
none whatsoever? None whatsoever, because nobody's going to see it whose mind would be changed. I mean, not in significant numbers.
Right.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, I'm not saying there's nobody.
So you're going to say mainly Harris supporters would be the ones who would generally.
Yeah, of course. You want to go see. And that's most of the criticism is coming from Harris supporters who say it humanizes Trump, and I don't think that's true. I mean, everyone is human.
Right.
I think what it does, it shows that nobody. Okay, this has always been something I've said, so I'll say it tonight. I defy anyone to go to a maternity ward anywhere in any American hospital, look at those little ones laying there, and say that they are inherently evil. Evil is a learned mindset. It can be caused by a number of things. It can be caused by mental imbalance. But it's so what this film does is it shows this person who was willing to go to those lengths, getting seduced by the evil side of the Force. I mean, yeah, it is kind of Star Wars in that sense. But over and above all that, it's just a great movie. It really is. I mean, I would highly, again, go see it, make up your own mind about it. But if I were a film critic, and I'm not, I would put that pretty high on the list. But
Did you see it today, Dave?
no, I saw. We actually went and saw it Tuesday. So I was going to try. I forget. A couple of people on the show, or people of our audience, had seen it last week, and I was supposed to go last week because it was released then, but I didn't. And it was interesting to compare. And this sets up what I really want to talk about tonight. At the same time, the day before, Judy and I went to see Saturday Night, which is also a very interesting movie. It's the hours preceding the debut of Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. And we don't even know what sets a week sometimes, but this was a week of dicks, penises, and other things, at least in our world down here. Okay, so what does that mean? In Saturday Night, it's people with, and that night, which is true. I mean, Saturday Night, it was pretty accurate in terms of what I know of that night. But Milton Berle showed up. And of course, at that point, Uncle Milty, Mr. TV, but he was on the downside. But Chevy Chase had a girlfriend, and he kept sticking her in acts kept slipping her into skits and stuff on the show. She was very attractive. And Berle, I guess, found him and found her very attractive, although the age difference would have been, 40 years. And he's in there talking to her, and Chevy comes in, and and they exchange words, and Berle just rips him and says, "And plus, you're not like this," and whips his dick out. Now, Milton Berle had the legend. He had the biggest dick in Hollywood, not being a dick person. And interesting enough, Chevy Chase has the reputation now of being the biggest dick person, or one of the biggest dick people. But you could see, Berle was using his giant, since he's Yiddish schlong, if you will, to intimidate. He's not the first person to do that. Lyndon Johnson did that, and others have done that. And you think, okay, well, that's okay. And then the other similarity between The Apprentice and Saturday Night is you saw Chevy Chase get seduced very quickly by the dark side of the Force, and you could see him going there. He was more naive than Trump. Mm-hmm. But they both were. It's interesting. They were both seeking the gold ring as they saw it, right? And both kind of willing to make all kinds of sacrifices of their humanity, of the good parts of them to get there. But the real story, also again, as I said, The Apprentice starts with Trump's father not renting to black people, and Garrett Morris, if you remember, was in the original cast. And the film really captures Garrett. Well, he doesn't know why he's there. He has no idea really. Why am I here? He had been a playwright. He had been on Broadway. He had an opera voice.
Right, he can sing. I remember that.
Oh,
right.
he was great. I mean, he was the oldest cast member. And so part of the film is, him searching for meaning. And at one point he breaks in, and I'd forgotten this. And it was one of the great moments of Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you remember, he broke into a song. I didn't realize he wrote it on the spot, created it. But I'm going to get me a shotgun and kill all the ladies I see. And he does it in an opera voice. And I remember that. And that was just that. And Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor doing the job interview were two of the best.
I remember that one. Right.
Two of the best moments. But you go out and you think, well, Lord, here comes Donald Trump, who I'm sure had not seen the movie or read anything about it or would care, and he goes to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, which is the home of Rolling Rock. I think Latrobe
probably sounds about right.
Sounds. I think, but it's also the home of Arnold Palmer. And Trump, being the politician that he is, seizes on the number one political question in America. and spent 12 minutes on it. How long and how big was Arnold Palmer's dick? Huh?
What's Trump's fascination with that?
Well, that gets
that's the question.
Well, here's what.
Especially from a male. Not that I want to sound sexist,
No,
but from a male.
No. I think again, it's the way he doesn't know how to relate to people. We've talked about Elon Musk not being able to relate to people. He can't. J.D. Vance can't relate. Peter Thiel is still angry about being outed. Right. So I forgot about that. I forgot about that. That he's the one who, and you're seeing all this come together.
Right.
Okay. I forgot that he was outed by Gawker, the website, and he financed Hulk Hogan's campaign when he sued them and drove them completely out of business. So now you've got Hogan, Musk, Trump, Thiel, Vance. Thiel created Vance. He gave him his start. And I'm going to say it here, if anybody hasn't seen it, and we'll see if it comes true. There's a thought on the right now, whispered thought, but that actually this is all a setup by Thiel, Musk, with Vance as their puppet. That once they get in, they're going to pull the 25th Amendment on Trump.
I don't see that. Not within
if
the
he doesn't.
Party.
Yeah, I do. I think that is a very real possibility. Why wouldn't you? If you have a 40-year-old?
Because they can control Trump. I think they can control Trump.
I don't think that's
when
what
Trump
they want.
is, when Trump realizes he can't go anywhere.
I don't think. I disagree with you there. I'm not saying it will happen.
I think there are strings. When Musk gave him the money, and I understand that.
There's also there's some things in Trump's background that could still destroy him. Bob Woodward's book comes out. A lot of negative stuff in there, but one of the ones that didn't get a lot of play is, again, it poses with quite a bit of accuracy. Two of the people in his administration told Woodward that Russia definitely does have something on him. It's not just his love of Putin.
Maybe
compromat.
Right.
Is that how you say? Is it compromat?
Compromat.
Yeah, and so and the point is.
And by the way, if I'm going to interject for a second. That is what they would do in hotels. They would literally have archives of what people. I mean, if somebody was up there, they knew that was the best way to get at them.
Well, it's always been. It was Roy Cohn's way. He actually, I didn't know this. A couple people asked me, "Did you learn anything new?" And I said, "Not much. Not that I know everything, but it was surf." But he made tapes. He had his rooms taped too, but audio, not video, because video wasn't really that available at that point. Today, now with P. Diddy and his scandal, there's audio, there's video, whether we'll ever get to see it or not. And
it's going to be something out of Black Mirror. Our lives are going to be on video. It doesn't matter.
And the whole time. So, but I think it is something to consider. Of course, we can't do anything about it. If Trump gets elected, I do not think he will finish his term either through health reasons or some. You really can't afford to have somebody with that bad dementia. You can let him win. You can't keep him in the White House. You can't.
Well, you would think in any case, by the time he's 82, he's going to be in worse shape than Biden at 82.
Oh, no question. No question.
Now, the other side of that, Dave, is that don't forget he has people like Randy. What's his name? Randy Jackson or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
he'll just lie his ass off for him, right?
It doesn't matter because the truth doesn't matter, and it can be twisted anyway. What Trump doesn't realize, I honestly believe, he is so egotistical, megalomaniac, that he doesn't realize that everything he does to people can be done to him. And you've pointed out on numerous occasions.
And that would be appropriate if you think about it.
It would be very appropriate. But you've pointed out on numerous occasions, as have millions of other Americans, how does this guy get away with it? But he was also, the difference was he was also, when he was a business tycoon, it was a separate world. It wasn't involved that much, right? Mm-hmm. But now everything he does is public. People do that. But through all the dick talk, we get a return of my girl, Miss Stormy Daniels. I don't know if you saw this week.
I've heard nothing
attorney-
about Stormy Daniels of late.
Oh,
I saw
where you been? What have you been?
Rachel
What have
Maddow
you
a
been,
couple
wearing your
months ago, and that
bathrobe?
was it.
No. What happens is Rachel Maddow, one of Stormy's attorneys, sent her documents where Trump legal team reached out to her again just a little while ago and said, look, we'll take less money because she had a lawsuit against her where Trump won that to return some things for false something she had said. If you'll just give us, sign like an NDA and not say anything more about us and just go away. Now, the question becomes, why would you do that? Is there something else out there? I mean, nobody, it's just the dumbest move ever. You don't want that to resurface, and now it resurfaces now. So it's back in the news.
Makes you wonder why somebody's buried at a golf course,
Or why, I mean, there's so many whys about Trump. So Stormy goes on Rachel's show, and they discuss it. And but today she was able to give two great retorts to the former president. One, she called him tiny, which she had mentioned before. He is not well endowed like Milton Berle and Arnold Palmer.
His brain isn't endowed either. He's got two things.
And secondly, she said in a tweet, Donald, you're no Arnold Palmer. So that's got to get to him. And Arnold Palmer's daughter came out just this afternoon and with some things, short messages about how much her father did not like Donald Trump. But see, Trump doesn't do any background checking. He doesn't care about
How long has
Arnold
Palmer been dead? I mean, I know he's not alive, but
10? I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I'm going to say 10 years, maybe. I don't know. If anybody
he was like the number
there.
two guy. Like there was Nicholas and then Palmer.
Yeah, I think, and in that battle, I think Palmer was more well known by non-golfers. You know what I mean? In other words, I think most people thought.
Well, it's commercials, number one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And he gets a drink named after him, right?
I'm sorry. I was out of order here.
That's okay. What was the point of doing the McDonald's thing? The whole thing was to set up propaganda piece. Absolutely anti-Gaia. First of all, not one person who came there. They were all screened by Trump's people, the families in the cars. Probably weren't even real families put together. Of course, the Secret Service had to check them out. They're not going to do that. And my guess is Trump pushed for that because the thing was he's doing what Kamala Harris said she did, and he claims she's lying about it. Rather than normal, if you did something like that, and a normal politician doing that, it would be to say, I'm a man of the people.
Right.
But Trump doesn't care about being a man of the people. So he had, and I think his reason was, thinking, I'm going to punch Kamala in the face with this commercial. And most people are looking at it and say, wait a minute, it was staged. It was just, as Anti-Guy said, it was just an event put on by Donald Trump. And Donald Trump did not have a real good week about descriptions and being nice. He said Ms. Harris was a shitty vice president. When did the word shitty come into play in a presidential race? Well, Donald Trump brought it in. And sometimes it's so ludicrous from so many angles. And what he said about Jill Biden, I don't know if you caught that one. He said, wake up, Joe, get him off the cloud, get your fat slob. Now, Joe Biden could be a lot of things. Fat, he is not.
Not.
Fat,
He's not
you
an ounce
are
of fat on
Donald
that guy.
Fat,
He's
fat,
all bone.
You are Donald Trump. So this idea of Donald Trump projecting himself on
Right,
others,
on somebody else.
it probably, it may well be true. He wants Arnold Palmer's dick, so he thinks by, somehow channeling Arnold Palmer's spirit, he'll get it. Somehow. Now, having said all this, let's get to the bad news. The bad news is Brian Weinstein. The bad news, no, it's beyond. The bad news is we don't know who's going to win.
And we know, I have heard that Pennsylvania is the key, and that it's 50-50 right now, and that she only has something like less than 15 or 18% chance of winning if she loses Pennsylvania.
That is true. But you've got the 8 states, right, that we've talked about, the 8 swing states, and you've got Texas and Florida, if they were to go. But it's if. And the other thing is, a lot of good writing has been done this week about the polls, and basically the best, or the people I consider the best writers and the best thinkers, are saying they don't mean anything. They don't. They really don't. And they don't. So we have no way to judge. 2 things nobody in America tonight knows for certain.
What we do know is what happened in the previous elections. He can't win the popular vote, but he can win the Electoral College.
Exactly.
And he snuck by the first time. The second time he didn't. So the question is there anything different about this election that is going to place us back in the former election where he did win? Is there anything that would make you think that it's going to be like the first one?
There were 2 things, again, 3 things. Hillary and her people were overconfident. Now, before you take that as a criticism, I would have been too. There was nothing on. Hey, Keith,
New Zealand.
There was nothing. There was no way I was convinced. No way I could have been convinced that Donald Trump would win. So I'm not. Just saying it was just. I think she did not run a great campaign. She really didn't. Probably for the same reason. And thirdly, Comey and the emails. So none of that has happened. Kamala has not made a misstep. If anything, you're watching her grow.
So don't you think that would lead to more malfeasance in the election?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's going to be his route, because how he's corrupt. So he says, I can't do it this way. It's got to go this way.
Well, what most people who are, supposedly insiders are saying is that they have about 6 plans ready to go, 5 or 6. Courts being one, encouraging violence both at the polls and after. Of course, lurking in the background, you have the most corrupt Supreme Court in my lifetime.
Absolutely.
With 3 members.
That's what I'm most worried about.
Right. There are 3 members on that court who have no business being there. That would be Clarence Thomas, should be disbarred and gone. Sam Alito should be disbarred and gone. And Kavanaugh never should have gotten on the court. And I don't know if you saw this week, new reports came out that there were over 1,000 complaints sent to be investigated about Kavanaugh, and the FBI did not anything about it. They looked at a few and just said, we're going to go on. Now, they were under pressure from Trump, it was at the time, to rush it. Now,
and there are probably some people within the FBI, a lot of people in the FBI who are supporters of Trump.
Well, but it was from the top down. It wasn't like, so you have, if it gets to the Supreme Court, heaven help us, if there is a heaven, and there isn't. So we don't really have any help. Okay, once you get to the Supreme Court, it is out of everyone's hands, unless there is a caveat here. Until he walks out of the White House, Joe Biden is still president. Now, he's already done one of the bravest things, I think, or most courageous things a politician can do, and that's walk away from power. Does he have it in him to arrest and incarcerate Trump? He has the power now. If he's acting, the Supreme Court, it's a two-way
or arrest
street.
the Supreme Court.
He could do that. Would he? I don't know. No one knows that.
Force it out of there.
And I said, as I said, there are 2 things that no American knows, and if they tell you this, or nobody in the world knows. A, what happens after you die? No one knows that. People believe they know, but they don't know. Even Harry Houdini couldn't come back and leave us a message, and he promised.
One certainly could speculate.
And you can, and you don't know what's going to happen with this election or after. I agree with you. I think that Kamala will win the popular vote.
Right.
The size of New York and California kind of guarantees that.
Right.
If anybody runs the table, it will be Kamala and not Trump.
Right.
Okay. On the 8th. Now the question does become Pennsylvania. That is a big.
That's right now. I think
votes.
I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to have a leading question. don't you
Go ahead.
think that will be the number one state in terms of where it comes down to is Pennsylvania, and it's going to come down to Philadelphia in a certain sense.
No argument with that. It's all along because Pennsylvania has the largest number of votes. Wouldn't
it be ironic that the democracy, the life of democracy, survival of democracy will be based in Philadelphia on the election?
Well, and that's kind of where the country originated, right?
Yes.
Of course, at least Philadelphia's not completely acting on their own. They could get some help from Pittsburgh. Gary, yeah, her being a black female, loss of black male votes. See, I'm not real sure.
We could say that about Obama too, and Obama was.
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, yeah, that's a thing, but how do we even know that's a real thing?
Right, we just assume it, right? But I get what he's saying. I get exactly what he's saying.
Well,
a powerful female. Let's just say that much. Forget about the fact that she's black, because a black person can become president. You know.
But my point is, we're getting all this stuff from polls. Where else are we getting it from? Or paid ads, right? I mean, we know that's another thing that's interesting. If Merrick Garland were not the worst attorney general in the history of America.
He's bad.
I believe that now. No, let me rephrase that. He's not the worst. He's the most ineffective. There's a difference, I guess.
I think he knows it now. I think he knows he's gone either way.
But right now, Elon Musk is, as the governor of Pennsylvania said today, he is breaking the laws of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania law says you cannot hold a lottery that isn't approved by the state of Pennsylvania. And Musk is holding one. You see what he's doing. You talk about buying
I heard about that. It's right.
$1 million a day from now to election to anybody who signs, is in the pool of signing this pledge about what is it? There's like two things on there. Now, if that's not buying a damn election, what do you have to do? But it's been ruled that what he's doing is okay as far as the election laws are concerned. But it's not okay because it violates the state of Pennsylvania and maybe some of the other states.
And again, could the Supreme Court get involved in that?
Well, you'd have to get the charges first.
Right.
And what I'm saying, and the only person who would bring the charges, who would have any merit, would be Merrick Garland, because it would be a federal charge, not a state charge, that you would oversee that. But as I said before, it's not just Donald Trump we have to worry about. It's Donald Trump, Elon Musk, J.D. Vance, Robert Kennedy Jr., Peter Thiel. Now, I don't know, maybe they're just trying to solidify or trying to change their view in history. There's a book coming out next week, a biography of your favorite Senate leader, Mitch McConnell. And in the book, let's see if I can find this here somewhere. I wrote it down so I would have it, and then of course I lose it, right? Well, anyway, basically what he said in the book, he said, if what Donald Trump did was not indictable, I don't know what is. He said that he supported Jack Smith. He thought the charges were just and fair. But here, he has a quote saying, no president, now here you're talking about irony earlier with Philadelphia. Right. Here's irony on the other side. He says to the person writing the biography, look, I guess I assume the way it was worded, I guess the author said, well, then why did you vote for impeachment? And McConnell, it's not just hedging. He may well believe that. He felt that, and there's some rulings to that effect, that an ex-president, a president who's not in office, cannot be impeached. And that may well have been the finding, and that may well be the law. But of course, at the same time, as I said, he said, I'm trying to get the quote. Yeah, okay, I got it. We have, and to justify that, he said, we have a legal system, and we have civil courts, and no person, not even the president, is above the law. And yet McConnell says his greatest achievement was getting a conservative Supreme Court, and that conservative court shot down the argument that a president is the same as everyone else.
And there's your irony.
And there it is. So he thought he was covering himself maybe, and if he really believes that, and there's no love lost between he and Donald Trump. We know that. I mean, that's clear. So we've painted a pretty bad, or not a kind of a gloomy picture maybe for Harris, but it's only gloomy. It's still 50-50, right? It's gloomy if you want her
and we're
to
in
win.
a lot better position that Trump is not president currently.
Correct.
Than we would.
And again, I believe this to be true. No matter what the outcome, Harris will do better than Joe Biden could, unfortunately.
Yes.
Unfortunately. But that's the reality. But there are some things that were pointed out this week that in previous elections have been kind of important. So if they're important, they all line up, the stars all line up for us. So first of all, you've got the economy. All right. The economy is
not going to change in the next 3 weeks, and it's fine.
No, and it's the economy. It's beyond fine at one level, at the stock market and the high levels. It's
unemployment's fine. Inflation's down.
It's fine. Gas prices are down. Food prices are down. Because what happens is stores realize you can only gouge so long. Right. Was it Target? I think Target or Walmart. One of the stores lowered prices on 500 items. Right, because it was just crazy. So you got that. Secondly, with the exception of Hunter Biden's laptop, which isn't a big deal, there's been no real scandals.
And the Republicans really did themselves in by continually talking about it. It was just, it's like sandpaper, just wearing something down, and people just didn't want to hear it anymore.
Now you do have the matter of war and peace, and a lot of there's been a lot of talk about Palestinian. Arab Americans who support Palestine's cause not voting or voting for Trump. I think
if they don't vote, that's still good. It's better than them voting for Trump.
Of course it is. And there's been some real efforts with some very powerful Arab American leaders to try to mitigate that. But war and peace, it really won't matter that much, even the Ukraine and Russia, because our troops aren't actively there involved. That's when it's really made a difference.
Do you know anything about that, Dave? Target? I haven't heard that.
I know they were
Walgreens losing a lot of stores.
All the stores are going down. But you know what? I think what happened again is, the pandemic changed buying habits in America.
Right.
No question. People who had never used Amazon, suddenly are going there. And what happens is Amazon doesn't have any brick and mortar stores. So they're not paying taxes. They're not paying employees. Everything's produced that way. So all of this.
We've talked about this. This is a side note, but there is a certain as much as you don't want to see these mom and pop stores go down, or even some of the larger retailers go down, just like, the music industry, how that changed, how the movies have changed with, going to the cinemas. There is a certain efficiency when you have one major carrier delivering everything, where instead of us having to go to 18 different stores. So it helps in terms of pollution in a certain sense. Well,
there are big,
and it also reduces crime, because don't forget, unless you're coming to the house to grab it.
Well, they are. I mean, they're doing that, but
not as much as you would have.
No. Although, speaking of that, Trump today, I'm pretty sure it was today, said, I haven't witnessed this, but maybe you have, Brian, that black men are going into stores and putting refrigerators on their back and walking out with them. Now, I haven't seen that. Come on. But the other thing is, Brian, with these stores, whether it's Target or Walgreens or any of them, they overexpanded. I mean, look at how many,
absolutely.
Look at how many Targets there are. Okay? There are 3 within a mile of where I live.
And it makes America look the same in every state. Every state has the Best Buy, the Target, so nothing looks different.
Kmart, in fact, and the big fall. Kmart, just last week, the last Kmart in America closed. No more. Anyone here been doing? I have not. But I know a lot of my friends here have been doing that. So the other, the other thing is I was talking when you talk about. So one more thing. So we have the one piece. Like I said, with Americans not being involved, that's not going to be a huge issue. Okay, it is an issue, but not huge, and so that kind of bodes well. But I think one thing that actually bodes maybe the best is there really is party solidarity behind Kamala Harris. I mean, think about it. You got Clinton out there, you've got Obama out there, you've got Michelle Obama out there, you've got Jimmy Carter saying, "I want to live to cast my vote for Vice President Harris," and he does at 100. And they've been working hard, and it comes down now. Again, contrasting since you said about call-in voters and poll workers and what have you, Musk put together a plan, of course, that he was running to take over the poll working from the Republican National Committee. And already there's proof that his people have been reporting they've gone to homes that they haven't. Because again, it's a shoddy. He's shoddy. They're shoddy. The operations are shoddy. The sad thing is, Elon Musk has done more to harm the electric vehicle movement in America than any other single person. I don't, So you look at those things. The things I just said, the normal things that are involved in elections, and they're not negatives, or are they either are positive or not negative for Kamala. Now, Brian, you've been saying all along, and I've agreed, and I don't think there's any doubt, there's going to be trouble after this election. It's a given. You don't know the severity, you don't know what it is, what's going to be. But I'll tell you who does also agree with us: the federal government, because last week, in the earliest ever in the history of elections in America, they started security measures at the White House. And those measures, for those who don't realize what it is, you have the White House on the Lafayette Park Square side. You have the White House, then the big White House grounds, right, which you see on the film. Then you have a fence that's permanent. Then you have a large sidewalk where visitors can gather. Then you have a street which could fit 4 cars, 4 car widths. And then you have a sidewalk. And then you have Lafayette Park. So normally you can get up to that fence. The fence has actually been installed inside Lafayette Park. That's how far away it is. And it was reported this week here in D.C. That the fear is not just for the inauguration, because that's what they're putting up. It's for the election itself. So there's the reports that law enforcement officials will be putting police on 12-hour days, canceling leave, types of things. So obviously, I mean, part of that you would say, well, because of what happened January 6th, they're just getting ready. There's more to that than this. They certainly have intel and information that is leading them to believe that we're in for trouble. I agree with what Gary, put up what Gary just said again for a second, because I think that is another thing, a very important thing. Trump's disjointed behavior made me optimistic again this past week. And I would agree with Gary. It does me too. The only problem is it still comes down who comes out, who doesn't come out. At this point, I don't see Trump losing any more voters. I don't see him gaining any either. So the question is, does he have enough if they all come out? Does Kamala have enough? Will they come out?
Christopher has an interesting comment here.
Yeah, and you're right. My son, Michael, and my son, we were talking about that. And one of the wrong things that journalists do, or newspapers do, not journalists themselves, they look at the stock market as being one of the big indicators. No, it's inflation and what you make. And so I think in that sense, now, every economist who's worth anything is saying once Trump's in, the economy will tank. Anti-guy, I think that's an interesting. I say go on Joe Rogan. I say
it's safer than Fox, don't you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, Joe Rogan's kind of against has moved to the other side now. He's not for Kamala, but see, all those Trump people and the people that move in those circles all have these huge egos. Howard Stern and Donald Trump were once great friends, and they had the falling out, right? Trump just eats. He's like piranha. He eats his own. Let's see. Washington has always been a sleepy southern town, quaint and safe. The updates on security is overdue. I would agree, but that was one of the pleasant things about democracy. We were, you felt relatively safe. I mean, as recently as, I guess almost, actually stopped in World War I. People used to just walk in the White House. It just came in. Right. And when I was young, you just went down there and they had seats, bleachers on the ellipse, and you just sat there and then you went in tour. Now you have to get permission. You have to go through 4 or 5 security stations. So it'll never go back to that. Now, Brian, I'm back to you. What are we? Almost, what are we? 1 day over 2 weeks before the election. October surprise. You see any coming?
No, I think that the whole ball game is after the election. I think that it's all, like you said, I think they probably have different scenarios that they're going to have, and I think they're prepared, the Republicans, to do their thing. And just the way that they will lie for Trump, like Mike Johnson lied for Trump today with Jake Tapper, just avoided the question whatsoever. I think it almost doesn't, and this is going to sound strange, the election almost doesn't matter. It's what happens afterwards, how we deal with it. And I think that's where they're going to go. And then the bottom line is, in the end, what Trump needs, and I think you will agree with me on this, he needs a Supreme Court, whatever way that they can get involved, because I think people like Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Roberts, he's got Alito, so it doesn't worry. He's got Thomas. They feel like they have to help him out. I mean, it is corrupt. It is a corrupt Supreme Court.
No question. But again, Merrick Garland, who's issued nothing, could get involved. Joe Biden, who spent his whole career pretty much trying to be a person, across the aisle, bringing people together. You can't do that. Hey, Judy, you can't do that now. Now, and the other thing, looking ahead, so Supremes can ultimately send it to the states to decide.
There's your problem right there.
Oh, there's all. I mean, yes, but again, Brian, not agreeing with everything that you said. We just don't know. Okay, I mean, you don't know, because all these things, what happens.
Let me ask you this. I mean,
sure.
When you say we don't know, I mean, there is a strong speculation. Number one, that the governors, in Florida, in Texas, they will back Trump. And if he does lose, they will bring up these electors. It's going there, Dave. I'm going to say right now, October 20th, it's going there with that. We are
then
critical mass, and we're going to see the worst thing ever.
I'm just saying, we don't know what the Supreme Court will do. We think we know. We can speculate. We can use prior experience of what they've done, but you don't.
They can overturn anything, and remember they gave him immunity.
Well, but Biden on the other time has immunity too.
Right, but when Biden uses that power, you know exactly what's going to happen. There's my speculation there. What's going to happen? This thing is set up for Trump. And the only thing, look, we're doing the best thing we can possibly do. We're voting for Harris. We want to at least get that. We've done our part. But after that, it's up to Biden. And Biden's going to have to be the greatest president in the history of the country to do what he's going to have to do. And there's another prediction I'm going to make, that Biden is going to have to do something intense. I don't disagree with you. Sensationalizing the show here.
But you know what? I feel pretty good about that. Joe Biden has to have personal animosity out the yin to Donald Trump. He does. He kept him from being president this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it's not like somebody who, that's, no. I mean, it would be personal.
That's a good point, Judy. Here, it wouldn't matter if there's a
no,
if there's a surprise
and you're
on
right.
our part.
The cultists. But again, here's the thing: if you're looking at America, basically it's a third, a third, and a third. Maybe a 40-40-20, but somewhere around that. For Trump, for Harris, for liberal, for conservative, for MAGA, for the other side. The Supreme Court is more dangerous than Trump, absolutely. Rumor that they heard a signal from space that may be intelligent life, so there may be hope.
I don't see it. We would have known that. It's too
no,
far away anyway.
Hey, if I win that one, I posted. I guess on Dividing Stand. I took 2 shots. One from the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, and another that was AI about spaceships coming to Washington D.C. So maybe, How to Serve Man. And Gary, I think you're gonna get a lot of support on that.
Right, but the Supreme Court, Gary, the Supreme Court decides what is a presidential act, and what is not. And this is where we get into this looseness, where the Supreme Court can pull shit.
And we'll be talking.
And that's why Judy said, I mean, they're in the end, they're more dangerous.
It's always been that way. You know who kept slavery going? The Supreme Court, with its rulings back then. Biden can say SCOTUS gave me immunity to do anything for the Constitution. And Ichabod, that's where I am. Now, the question becomes, will Joe Biden...
Well, a civil war after that, but yes.
Well, you know what, Brian? I don't see... We're going to have not civil war, with blue and the gray. And we're going to have disruptions for the rest of the time we're on the planet. We're too divided. There's no way... unless the aliens come and we all unite against them. But don't you think Donald Trump would suck the aliens?
Right, but I'm just saying, I know how divided we are, but I don't mind division as long as my guy or gal is president. I mean, this is what saved us the last 4 years. As much as they're causing all kinds of problems.
The other side feels the same way. I mean, the difference is I think that they're not the goodies. I think we are on the side of reason and right and morality and all the things that we should be. My last word, though, would be, it wasn't a life-changing event, but I said it was the longest I ever spent with the new evangelical Christian political group, a week ago.
Did they convert you?
No, but they scared the shit out of me.
I can bet.
and they're just fire in their eyes. They are.
Explain briefly, if you can, before we go off. What you visually saw. Forget about the audio. What they said. What does it look like?
I saw people whirling. I saw hundreds, thousands of hands upraised in fervent prayer. I heard people from the stage, including one of your other sexual idols, Michelle Bachmann, screaming into the mic, inspiring them. It was like there was people.
I haven't heard from her for a while.
Well, she was up there. Yep, she's into that evangelical movement. Of course, the movement.
Do you really think she is, Dave? I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, no, she's in the movement. Because
she may be in the movement. She's not evangelical.
She's evangelical.
If she is, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, right? It just doesn't matter.
The evangelicals believe she's... Look, the head of that organization that sponsored that made millions and millions running con schemes as an influencer, and then decided she could have more power.
Did you buy any merch?
Actually, I think I mentioned this. That's what surprised me. Do you know there was not a piece of merch for sale on the grounds? And I didn't walk all the way around. But what they did give... Okay, I want to end the show with this. May I? Can I run over a few minutes? All right, hold on a second. I got to take these off and get something for you.
Uh-oh. The big surprise. He's bringing his shoes. Look at that zombie thing he's got on the wall there. Dave loves science fiction. He really enjoys it. Blueprints for Transformation.
That is the only and this was given away. Thousands. Because I did get a crowd estimate now. It was about, they think, probably somewhere in the vicinity of about 30,000.
Okay.
Total people there. All right, so hold on a second here. Of course, I don't have it marked, right? Of course not. So talk to the people while I'm trying to find this. Totally unprepared, sorry, but I didn't know we were going to get there. And this will be a good closing for the show, if I can find it. Well, I'll just read as I'm going through and try to find biblical justice, not social justice. Whole chapter on that. Okay. The name of this little gem here is Blueprints for the Transformation, Bringing Revival and Reformation to the Nations. 12 Keys to Transform America and the World. This is what evangelicals of this group are being told God wants them to do for this election. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, we must vote biblically in perpetuity to steward our citizenship into the advancement of God's kingdom. Second, we must vote for the pro-life candidates in local, state, and national elections as opposed to pro-abortion candidates. 3, we must vote for pro-family candidates as opposed to pro-LGBTQ candidates. 4, we must vote for pro-freedom candidates as opposed to candidates who censor free speech and attack the exercise of religion. 5, we must vote for pro-Israel candidates as opposed to those who want to divide Israel into a two-state solution. 6, we must vote for candidates supporting parents' rights to educate their children as opposed to the state removing parental rights and letting people like Brian Weinstein teach in our public schools. And number 7, we must vote for candidates supporting a free market economy as opposed to big government socialistic economic policies. Now that's what your evangelical Christians, who are Christian nationalists, are being told. Notice, not a word there of who to vote for, right? But it's very clear.
It's very clear. Very clear.
Don't vote for a Democrat, vote for a Republican.
Right. They don't have to say it outright and they can get away with it.
And it was interesting. You asked last week about, did you see a lot of pro-Trump stuff there? I didn't. But reporters for other magazines who went in and interviewed, yeah. So, it's, again, those people are going to vote. Are our people going to vote? And that's another thing that looked good this week too, though, Brian, was Georgia with their early voting is in record numbers, and in general, early voting favors Democrats. So, but we shall see. Make sure we got all the comments up. Yes, I know that, Ichabod, but you know what? You read the Bible and understand it. Number 5 just got my vote. Let me see what else we got. Third authority comes from God, and that's those in power are God's servants and ministers. Look, the whole thing there, they were interviewing some of the speakers, and they all said, look, it's very simple. Donald Trump is God's minister on earth. Kind of hard to argue with that, right? If you believe that shit.
So I guess as an atheist, I'm in trouble with these people.
Brian, we're all in trouble with these people. Okay? Except these people. They're the ones, if they win, but it may not be as easy as they think. I would hope Americans would have enough sense when the first concentration camp goes up to deport immigrants. I would hope that we don't allow that in some way. Am I saying violence? I don't, at that point.
Look, it's like what happens in Russia, though. I know exactly what you're talking about, but people here will behave no differently, except for those who really do care, like the Democrats. But the Republicans, if it doesn't actually touch them,
oh no,
they can watch it on TV. It's just like watching a science fiction movie.
But what you have to do, you have to look at, and there's a very good place. Again, everyone at some point in their life should visit the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. Everyone should.
They're not going to do that.
No, I know that. But I'm just saying they should, because it gives you a new perspective. And basically what you learn there is the worst will happen. The worst will happen if you don't stop it when you can. And that would be the message. And what that means, is it easier for me to say that than it is my son to say that? Because, he has to think about his children, and I think about my grandchildren, where my life is, on the other side. I mean, would I willingly, die and emulate myself or, set myself on fire out there? No, but we'll just have to see. I mean, there's protests. We have to be out in great numbers if that's what it takes.
Well, it'll be interesting after the election, if they show up and go out and do their thing, what do we do? Or we just leave it up to Biden to do it? I mean, we can't physically get involved. We could, but it's not a fight we can win.
And I do have to say this as someone who's protested since 1969, off and on in different ways. The last few years when I'm out there in the big things, I'm looking over my shoulder, and I never did that before. Even though there were snipers on the roofs, for the government. So it's a scary thing. It's not. Wow. So I'll go out there and protest. I mean, when you're out there, you are.
It sounds like, Dave, that you are the guy who walked into that little I don't know, 5 and 9 place that was serving food in Easy Rider. So
well, you know what?
You're dealing with those people.
Well, you are, and
I live right near them.
I don't hold any false hope. If you are a Donald Trump supporter now, you are for deportation of immigrants. You are for a number of things that are completely anti-American.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to get any help from them.
Right.
But you know what? We'll wait and we'll see, and we'll be back next Sunday.
And we will have to scope out, was it Tuesday's election? We'll have to come on election night, maybe, I think.
And I will come on definitely, and I will come on live from Bourbon Street, New Orleans, because that's.
Oh, you're going to be in New Orleans when this happens. It's a shame you're not in Washington when it happens.
No, I won't be in Washington.
Are you going to the French Quarter?
Well, the touristy, yeah, because we're going with a couple who've never been, so we're kind of letting them choose, and they're good travelers. So, and actually, the French Quarter is not the place to go now. It's all touristy and stuff. You want to go there's other places. It's like
restaurant music.
It's like Café du Monde is the most famous for their beignets, but they're not the best beignets. But you want to go there. So yeah, that would be fun. It'll be interesting.
Well, make sure you bring your best devices and whatnot for that night.
Oh, I'll be down there.
And if you're going to are you going to be in a hotel?
Yeah.
Well, then
pay
the extra $20 for really good Wi-Fi that night.
I would do, or I'll go to the Café du Monde and just chow down on beignets and get the crumbs.
Get your phone ready or whatever. If you can do it by laptop or you can do it by phone, because that night's going to be important.
I'll have all three with me on my laptop.
All right, Dave. I guess we're going to sign off. Thank you.
Like a plan.
We're coming down to the finish line, aren't we?
Thank everyone. Because again. Brian and I would be doing this not live like this, but we've been having political discussions for the 30 years, and I'm glad to see, Brian, that you took off that bathrobe.
I did take it. Well, it got a little warm. It was a little cool.
No. What it was I can honestly say now that Brian during the show performed a sensual striptease in honor, and then yawned. In honor of Stormy Daniels, so that made my night. Okay. And remember the.
It looks like Donald Trump's not the only one who projects here.
Remember the.
All right, read. We got one question here, Dave. Before we go, last question: yes or no? Did you read that entire book? I don't think you did.
Actually, I did. Yeah, I did.
Oh my God!
Because
I don't know how you got through it.
No, but the thing is, I understand that. But you got to know your enemy. And
I got you. I'm not. But I know you don't. First of all, you don't like shit that just is not good writing. Number one, and then
no. But what it is, okay. We'll do some deep psychoanalysis. When this first started, it bothered me because I lost friends and family, or people I thought were my friends,
right,
and my family. And I always, Brian, valued the fact, whether as a teacher or reporter, you kept politics out of what you did.
Right.
I lived that until Trump came. I can't, but because of that training, I'm able to read some of this stuff and not be as affected emotionally as other people. But I've always believed that. Know your enemy better than you know your friends.
Right.
And and
Keep
I
your
know what
enemies
my friends
close to you.
Yeah, and I don't want to keep them close to me because they smell. Trump. One last question for the people. I want to answer next week. I've never asked. I want to know. I want everybody to look at that picture when Trump was on Fox and Friends and answer me this. There's two schools of thought. Was it a towel that they laid under him? A black
No,
towel?
they already said. I mean, it's on Twitter. It was just his extra long sport coat.
No, that's not. Go back and look at that.
All right,
picture.
okay, we'll look at it.
No, I mean that's what they said. But
Right.
I actually analyzed it last night with Judy. We sat there, we looked at it, and it's a different color. Unless there's some way that his coat changed colors down the bottom,
I
or
got
the
you.
lighting was such. But yeah, I mean, but that's just another example. We don't know.
It's
All right, kids.
all right.
We'll be back.
I'll see you.